I got friends who borrow money, friends who drink my wine.
Hi, I'm Barry Hickey. I guess you can say I get around a little. I like to act in movies, on television, in the theater. I also like to sing my songs on occasion with my band. And you can always find one of my novels somewhere, especially on the internet. Well, some Indian producers hired me to star in their movie, so there I went. And after they dyed my hair black, they gave me the day off. So I decided, why not visit Delhi? Delhi in a day. India. The ultimate human smorgasbord of opposites and extremes, perceptions versus realities. It is a landmass of crowded humankind thrust together in the pageantry of godly and day-to-day searches. India, a land of ancient dynasties, civilizations dating back 4,000 years. But I don't have that much time. I only have a day. One day to see Delhi. My day begins at the Taj Palace Hotel, a luxury hotel with beautiful marble floors and wonderful Indian statuary. It's 8 a.m. and already the city is alive. Scooter families climb aboard to go to work and school. Pedestrians walk to find buses. A cow chews his cud. Watching young men bathe from a water pump. Chaotic New Delhi. Bicycles, rickshaw taxis, young boys to their shops, and merchants off to the market. A construction crew off to find a rut in the road. That shouldn't be a problem in India. Chaotic Delhi is alive this morning. Walking, pedaling, waiting, flying. Somehow Indians get there. Our first stop, an ancient minaret. But first, a little show. Outside a city monument, a snake charmer blows his battered wooden flute, attracting a small crowd with the absorbing music of the bean. He nudges his cobra to rise from its reed basket and dance as he plays out the last note of the dying tradition. I was told that cobras are an endangered species in India and that snake charming is illegal in the big cities. But here it is. As if by magic, the charmed cobra rises up in a standing position, its head swaying, its hood spread, ready to bite. But instead it seems mesmerized by the music, swaying with the sound of the flute, standing but not striking. What's the gimmick? Cobras don't hear in the way humans do. Though it is sensitive to the music's vibration, it is actually responding to the sight, not the sound, of the flute. Standing is a natural defensive posture for a cobra. Most can raise about a third of their body length. If a cobra sits in a dark basket for a while and then the lid is removed, its natural response is to rear up. As for delivering a venomous bite, like other snakes, cobras are defensive, not aggressive. If it does strike, it usually aims for the closest object, the flute. The snake charmer knows the cobra can only strike a third of its body length, and he knows just where to sit. In fact, it is not the charmer, but the snake that has the more dangerous job. In modern times, these illiterate and uneducated snake charmers have lost their traditional image as mystics. And at an average wage of $2 a day, there aren't many sons willing to learn the family business. Charmer and snake, both an endangered species. He also has a python with him, very decorative around a stranger's neck. I pass. Ancient monuments in India are for locals and tourists. They are the symbol of the social, economic, political, and cultural ethos of India. Here we are at the Gupt Minar Mosque Complex. A minar, or minaret as we know it today, is a slender tower attached to a Muslim mosque with one or more projecting balconies from which a muezzin or crier calls the faithful of Islam to prayer. It would be an extraordinary crier who can be heard from a height of over 200 feet, assuming in the first place that he manages to go up and down 379 steps 5 times a day. The minar leans as a result of an earthquake 200 years ago. This minar has 5 tiered balconies. Built at the turn of the 13th century, the Gupt Minar is a symbolic rather than a functional structure. An inscription on the tower says that it was erected to cast the shadow of God over both east and west. Who ordered the Gupt Minar complex to be built? Guptuddin Aybak, a Turkish slave. He was a commander in the invading Muslim army of Muhammad of Ghor. He ordered the minar built in honor of his king. After Muhammad was murdered, Aybak took control after the customary confusion and bloodbath of the struggle for power, and named himself Sultan of Delhi in 1206. Sultan means ruler or prince. Aybak would be known as the founder of the slave dynasty, because his successors would also come from the ranks of slaves.
We're at the tomb of Imam Zamin.
Next to the minaret is the tomb of Imam Zamin, a Turkish holy man. He came to India in the reign of Sikandar Lodi around the turn of the 16th century.
Wow, beautiful.
It is believed he worked at the mosque and oversaw the design of his own tomb during his lifetime. It is a small sandstone octagon. The interior is finished in polished white plaster and contains fine perforated jalis, also known as a screen. Islam means submission to God, and a Muslim is one who is submitted to the will of God. At the center of the religion is an intense concentration on the unity of God and the separation between God and his creatures. No physical representation of God is allowed. There are no other gods. The duty of humanity is to profess the simple testimony: there is no God but Allah. Allah means God, and Muhammad is his prophet. Obedience to God's will rests on following the example of the Prophet Muhammad in one's own life, and faithfulness to the revelations collected into the most sacred text, the Quran. Adjacent to the tomb in Minar are the remains of a once great mosque, now a monument. It's the pride of a dynasty. mosque is built from the pillars and bricks pillaged from 27 Hindu and Jain temples. Besides stealing the pillars, the temples were ransacked for treasure and converted into mosques for the invading rulers. Muslims view themselves as followers of the same traditions preserved in the Judaic and Christian scriptures. They accept the prophetic roles of Abraham and Moses and view Jesus as a prophet too, with Islam being the final statement of revealed truth for the entire world. The Islamization of India did not occur as a result of mass conversions to Islam. The process took several centuries. It was over an unfair tax called the jizya that the Muslim rulers applied to non-Muslims. Nobody wants to pay taxes, even today. Many Hindus converted to Islam to escape the tax. When the Muslims left to occupy other cities, Hindus returned to their old worship. Just how disastrous Muslim conquest was for India and how much resistance had been offered by Hindu rulers are still controversial subjects here. Much of the known history was written by Muslim historians. The little history documented by Hindu Indians was written with an eye towards glorifying their own Hindu kings. When the Muslim Mughals established their North India Empire, the whole of India was almost completely under Muslim rule, especially during the rule of Aurangzeb. He wouldn't tolerate the Hindu worship of idols. Aurangzeb destroyed and pillaged thousands of temples of any and all religions that were not Muslim. Strong in the north, his influence did not carry to the south of India. The iron fist of the Muslims finally gave way to the technology of a new occupier, the British. The last monument I find to the complex is the never-completed minaret called the Alay Minar. This gigantic structure of rubble is the unfinished base of what was to be a mammoth tower, exactly twice the size of the Gupt Minar. But the Sultan who ordered its construction died before the first story was finished, and the project was abandoned. Arranged marriages are common in India, with parents seeking brides and grooms for their children, while the bride and groom-to-be go about their business pursuing educations and careers. Many Indians believe that love is not the major ingredient in marriage, but that companionship and having children is. Western culture has infiltrated Indian society, especially in a big city like Delhi. Fast food, Western clothes, looser Western values. Traditional roles are changing rapidly here. There's quite a bit of confusion and inter-family squabbling over these new Western attitudes. But old traditions continue. The Baha'i faith has found a home in India. Here we are at the Baha'i House of Worship. It's in New Delhi, popularly known as the Lotus Temple. The temple gives the impression of a half-open lotus flower afloat, surrounded by leaves.
Oh God, it's so hot! I think I'm gonna go back to the car.
The Baha'is believe in the three cardinal principles: oneness of mankind, oneness of God, and oneness of religion. The Baha'is work for the removal of prejudices based on caste, creed, religion, sex, color, race, and language. They advocate universal education and the inculcation of a scientific outlook among people. The Baha'is do not believe in superstitions, ceremonies, rituals, or dogmas. Baha'is believe that throughout history the Creator has educated humanity through a series of divine manifestations. These manifestations include Krishna, Buddha, Abraham, Moses, Zoroaster, Jesus, and Muhammad. They believe that in the present age, God has revealed himself again through Baha'u'llah, whose name means the glory of God. He is regarded as their prophet. The Baha'is pray to the one true God, the creator of the universe. The act of praying is described as a conversation with God. It is obligatory for every Baha'i to pray and meditate on the words of God every day. The Baha'i faith started in Iran when the Bab inaugurated a new era in the history of the human race. The Baha'is believe that the promised one of all ages and peoples, Baha'u'llah, revealed himself in 1863. He dispatched one of the distinguished Baha'i teachers, Jabal Effendi, to India to spread the teachings of the Baha'i faith in the years 1874 and 75. The Baha'is believe Baha'u'llah is a universal manifestation of God, whose advent has been prophesied in all the holy scriptures. It is estimated that there are presently nearly 2 million Baha'is in India. There are no clergy in the temple, no idols, no pictures, no sermons, no rituals. It is considered a place for communication between man and his creator, God. Don't wear your shoes here. India. Different religions, different races, different beliefs, different diets, different clothes, different dreams. Next stop, the complex surrounding Humayun's tomb, built in the 16th century. The area attracts a large number of visitors, both Indian and foreign. Humayun was a Mughal emperor. Not many people know that there are several other structures and tombs in the complex as well. India has unofficially accepted the dowry system of brides' families giving gifts to a husband's family as the norm. Officially outlawed, it still exists throughout the country in Muslim and Hindi social circles. Some brave brides in recent years have called off weddings when demands from the families of prospective husbands have become too outrageous. But dowries are still widely accepted, mutually arranged in advance. Many modern Indians merely want the token traditional gesture, not gouging. The negative outcome of dowries in marriages gone bad can result in husbands or families of husbands setting the newlywed bride on fire, or simply returning the disgraced bride and perhaps a few children to her family. The connection between a daughter's marriage and the economic strain a family undergoes has been reflected in countless stories and images of indebtedness in Indian literature, cinema, and the media. Several films have shown the girl's father placing his pagdi, or headgear, at the feet of the in-laws who threaten to walk out if their dowry demands are not met. Unfortunately, Indian advertising caters to the dowry system to sell cars, washers, dryers, electronics, and jewelry, and only makes the problem worse. Indian movie directors show marriages as affluent ceremonies, a naked show of wealth and greed. In fact, on the screen, the days of simple weddings are over. The message is still clear. Money, or its equivalent, is needed for the marriage to happen. The families of many grooms-to-be see dowry as a one-way ticket of the economic and social ladder. Though prohibited by law, dowry has grown to monstrous proportions after 4 decades of legislation. What needs to change is the attitudes of Indians, and you cannot legislate against attitudes. The National Crime Records Bureau of India reports at least 6,000 dowry-related deaths every year. But several activists and women's groups claim that over 25,000 women are killed for dowry every year. Some desperate parents might even sell another daughter as an indentured servant to raise the dowry, often sending that illiterate child's future into the dark abyss of prostitution.
जा रहा है फोटो लेके
there's not much going on architecturally regarding this plain-looking tomb. It is built in red and white sandstone with a few traces of colored tiles at the entrance. Simple yet elegant, it offers a picture of tranquility amidst the expanse of green grass and the insane city beyond the walls. Humayun lived from 1508 to 1556 and is nicknamed the Fugitive King. He fought many battles and was addicted to opium, depending on it for solace and comfort over his beleaguered kingdom. His borders were insecure, and he had 3 brothers trying to usurp him. Humayun made his brothers regents of other kingdoms, and over many years he found himself engaged in plots and coups against him. Humayun died by accident. An avid fan of astrology, he tripped and fell to his death while descending the steps after gazing at the stars from the rooftop of his palace. His son Akbar became heir and ordered the tomb to be built. Completed in 1571 from red sandstone, its majestic outline became the precursor of future Mughal architecture, including that of the Taj Mahal. It's said to have cost 1.5 million rupees.
Daddy's taking his picture taken.
If you have a phobia about bats, I recommend you don't visit Humayun's tomb. Bats are everywhere. They're above you in the ceilings and below you in the tombs. They like to fly past at low altitudes, even in the day.
Maybe for him. Oh, only here. Oh, there's a hole.
I see a vicious circle here in India. Poverty, adult unemployment, social structures, illiteracy, lack of family planning, the vague laws, corruption, a caste system for both Hindu and Muslim, weak law enforcement, to name a few. We forget there are actually 3 sides to every coin: the front, the back, the side. Your truth, my truth, and the truth that neither of us can see. But I'm just a tourist. I'm in Delhi for a day. In Delhi alone, 865 girls are born for every 1,000 boys. The message is clear. Urban dwellers prefer males over females, sons over daughters. A son can bring potential prosperity to older parents. Sex-selective abortions are illegal, but common. Mobile ultrasound facilities roam the cities and villages of India, offering their services. If the ultrasound reveals the fetus is a girl, the pregnant mother often aborts. A national government attempt to end gender discrimination and infanticide is something Indians call the Safe Motherhood Scheme. Poor mothers are paid 1,000 rupees when giving birth to a girl, 500 rupees for a boy. In U.S. money, that's $40 for a girl, $20 if you have a boy. Indian women must give birth in a recognized hospital to receive the payment. The Safe Motherhood Scheme has not worked, especially in rural areas where doctors, medicine, and food are all in short supply. Still, there are brave women in India fighting for other women. Like everything else in India, it may take centuries before a change is seen. The effects of poverty, inadequate health care, tips, bribes, and payoffs known as bakshish, they compile the problem. Poor Indians claim they need services, not money. Poorer Indians are skeptical of promised money. They believe they will never see it. Many also see the scheme of discrimination against the poor, a sort of ethnic cleansing against females through hospital sterilizations. But in India, it is still the more affluent urban dwellers that abort. Some defend the practice of sex-selective abortions as pragmatic, since many families in India are financially ruined by the practice of wedding dowries. It pays to have a boy. It appears the cycle is only getting worse. Social discrimination, patriarchy, consumerism, technology, violence against women. The dowry system is a modern economic plague connected with family honor or disgrace. Like the caste system, the dowry system is a major drawback to a third world nation intent on change for the 21st century. There's a nickname for Delhiites' auto rickshaws. They call them Indian helicopters. The commercial area known as Connaught Place was built by the British as a sort of home away from home. It's a busy place where you can buy just about anything your heart desires, legally and otherwise. The British motive in occupying India originally was commerce, spices, cotton, and opium, traded through the East India Company, and then later through direct British rule. The British economic penetration was aided by Indian collaborators such as bankers and merchants and Rajas, who controlled intricate credit networks ruled by British governor-generals. European perceptions of India, and those of the British especially, shifted from unequivocal appreciation to sweeping condemnation of India's past achievements and customs. With a European sense of superiority, British intellectuals, including Christian missionaries, spearheaded a movement that sought to bring Western intellectual and technological innovation to Indians. Interpretations of the causes of India's cultural and spiritual backwardness varied, as did the solutions. Many argue that it was Europe's mission to civilize India and hold it as a trust until India could prove self-rule. But Indians had another idea: accept the British rule until they could find a way to get rid of them. The 1850s introduced three engines of social improvement that heightened the British illusion of permanence here. They were the building of railroads, the telegraph, and the uniform postal service. Some British thought connecting the country would eliminate the caste system, but instead it further separated the rich, educated, and wealthy from the poor. It would take another 100 years, a salt tax, and Mahatma Gandhi to lead India towards self-rule. My friends and I enjoy a pleasant lunch of North Indian cuisine with a blast of air conditioning overhead. I only hope I don't get Delhi belly, the local nickname for diarrhea.
So we're just going to drive around. Okay.
Yeah, that's it. Wow, look at this one.
Yeah, that's the road for it.
Let's take a picture.
The famous old fort. 400 years ago, crocodiles swam in its moat. The fort is 2 kilometers in circumference. next stop, India Gate. Surprisingly peaceful area in comparison to the rest of Delhi and New Delhi on a Sunday, since the Indian Parliament, just up the street, is closed. India Gate is a stone arch standing some 42 meters high. Engraved on the walls of this structure are the names of over 75,000 Indian soldiers who have given their lives for their country. There are young boys here too with dancing monkeys. They roam around looking for tips as their monkeys dance to the drum. The monkeys don't dance, the boys whip them into dancing. Now I'm wondering what's worse, being a snake or being a monkey in India. I also learned, don't let the monkeys on your head. They like American hair.
Here, my friend.
Things turn ugly when my Indian friend doesn't tip them enough.
Anybody speak English? No? English? America? No?
You have any poop on my head?
I'm not touching your hair.
New Delhi, the capital of India. National government buildings line the road on either side as a visual display of power. In 1947, Great Britain transferred its control to the people of India. Albert Einstein said, "We owe a lot to the Indians who taught us how to count, without which no worthwhile scientific discovery could have been made." Mark Twain once said, "India is the cradle of the human race, the birthplace of human speech, the mother of history, the grandmother of legend, the great-grandmother of tradition." I travel the world and see and experience many things. The greatness of humanity is not found in ancient or modern stone. It is found in the open hearts and minds of individual people, willing to understand each and every one of us on this planet as a part of the mysterious greater whole. My one day in Delhi is done.